actual lobby.
Oh, okay, we are good. I'm getting confirmation. Yes, we are live again. Okay. All right, welcome back. We are here for Game 2 of Gurg 5 versus Bear Journey Poops in the Woods. Just to remind everybody, we did get a special guest pop in. General Dill is here with us as well. So it is an extra special caster desk just for all of you guys. All right, so bands coming in. Band, Diana Band, Blitzcrank Band, and Nivy Band. These are all pretty similar bands to what we had going in the first game. I'm curious to see. I'm expecting Volumundo and Hillary Clinton to pick similar, just kind of AFK split push type champs, even though they grouped quite a bit last game. But that's definitely, they've shown us that's pretty much the style they want to play every week. And we do see the York first pick again.
We'll probably see a Teemo to answer. Ooh, a Trundle actually to answer that.
That's interesting because the Trundle and Yorick ults have similar functions against each other. If they end up in a 1v1, it'll be very fun to see who ends up getting the better side of that trade. But we do see a Jarvan come out from Jaundice to answer the Xin Zhao that goes down from Zurok. Jarvan is a very, very strong early game jungler right now, although he did just get nerfed in this past patch. The damage on his Q is down.
And his martial stance got reduced from 10% HP to 8% current HP on hit for the first attack.
Which is pretty huge. That is actually a pretty large nerf. Obviously, Jarvan's doing a lot of work, but it still shouldn't impact the pressure that he's able to apply if he understands how to play that champion well enough, and I know that Jaundice does, so we'll see how that's able to work. Xin Zhao, however, is one of the strongest duelists in the game, and as the game goes later, he becomes very strong.
As you wish.
It would be nice to see Zurok kind of handle the mid-game a little bit more, proactively than he did this last game.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him making the plays than having to react to them, so we'll see Sivan opting for that Ahri again and Hiramar with the Xerath. Hiramar saying that he likes that matchup even if it is not supposed to be a winning matchup for him. He liked how it went last game and he's not afraid to take it again.
Yeah, Ahri definitely having the upper hand in that 1v1 as she has the mobility and assassination potential to just get rid of a Xerath before he can trade back any of his damage, being fully skill shot based in his kit.
All right, now we do see that random guy having the misfortune picked away from him and being told to take the Ashe, clearly being advised to take something, the Morgana Ashe, there you go. Something incredibly safe, something that's going to provide some utility for his team rather than damage. Obviously with Hillary Clinton on the Yorick and Jaundice on the Jarvan, they're looking to get most of their damage out elsewhere. So all in all, a very similar composition we see from Bear Jr.'s side. And I guess some changes on the side of Gurg 5 that I don't necessarily think give them a better edge than they had last time. Not having that instant kill button with the Vi, I almost think is a weaker choice, although Xin Zhao is strong. What do you think about that, Dylan? That's kind of my concern right now, is that they kind of gave up ease of access or like ease of gank for something that requires a little bit more effort, and it might not be the greatest idea into the same team comp they just played against.
I really just Gurg 5's team comp as a whole, I don't think that I like it at all together. The Xin Zhao, the Misfortune, the Trundle, all very counterproductive in their synergies. Xin Zhao's ultimate obviously knocks away all but the last enemy he attacked, whereas Misfortune wants to try and keep everyone grouped in together on top of the bullet time, which while the Trundle Pillar can help that with the latent AoE slow around it, it also does knock people away. So just two champions that are going to just knock people outside of the bullet time if they do not play it correctly. And I just think their team comp as a whole in a team fight style of play is not really going to hold up against Bear Jr. Pooh's in the Woods team, because Pooh, on the other hand, they have a pretty clear win condition in their team fights, and it's peel for that Xerath. They have the Ashe, which has the potential to put out damage, but has been namely used as like a support type AD carry along with the Morgana. So just massive peel for that Xerath, keep the Xerath alive, and lock them inside Jarvan's Cataclysm together for Xerath's AoE damage to get out. I just think if they group up in a 5v5 scenario, POO is going to have a definite edge over Gurg 5.
I think that is maybe partially why they look like Gurg 5 is a little bit more going towards even more of a pick comp than last game. Ari obviously is good at creating picks. Thresh is really good at locking somebody down who's out of position. Obviously, with the hook, you can put that with the charm, and they're not going to be able to move for days. Misfortune is more of a team fighter, obviously, and then another split pusher on the top lane. So they don't. Other than Misfortune, I don't know if they necessarily want to be grouped. Maybe looking for skirmishes and creating picks. So maybe they wanted to do that to avoid being grouped up for the Jarvan and Xerath and all that. So we'll see if they're able to keep things kind of spread out and avoid those death fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, really quickly, I want to take a moment for anybody in the chat. Go ahead and hashtag POO win or G5 win for who you think is going to take this game. And remember that we do have a prize pool that you can donate to, where 50% of all the money that you guys donate goes toward the Symphonia Education Foundation. Really, really nice charitable investment you guys could make there. And the other 50% goes toward, of course, the final prize at the end of this lovely split once the playoffs happen. And make sure you guys follow and or subscribe, because the channel, the larger it grows, the more we can do with this and the better stops we can pull out to make this all fun for all of you guys. So thanks for watching, and let's look forward to a good game 2. Guys, final predictions here. Who do you think takes this one?
I'm going to have to go with Bear Jr. poops in the woods again. Obviously, they knew how to win with that type of team comp last game. They have better shot calling. I think individually they just have kind of better players, and I don't see anything in this draft that will really alter much of what happened in the first game. So I think just based off of that, I'm going to give it to Bear Jr. again.
How about you, Dylan? What do you think?
I'm also gonna have to give mine to POO in this case, because their team comp definitely has a clear shot, a clear path to victory in grouped up fights, whereas Gurg 5 is kind of pulling a solo queue here. And as we saw last game, POO definitely able to work well under an early deficit and just pull back ahead as a whole team together.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be contradicting my own predictions that I made on the recap show earlier this week, but I think that I'm going to have to, based on seeing this team comp, say that Bear Jr.'s team is going to take this one. I thought maybe G5 would take a 1-1, but I don't know that this is the game that they make that happen. I think that they opted, a lot of pro streamers, a lot of pro players say that the easiest way to jungle is to pick like the easiest junglers to execute. And I think Vi was among the easiest junglers to execute, and the Xin Zhao is not in that category. And I don't think that Zurich needs an easy jungler to play. I think he's a good player. But when you already lost to a similar composition, increasing the difficulty of your win condition is not necessarily the way that you want to be trying to get that win. So I do think that Bear Jr.'s team will pull this out if they play their composition properly.
Yeah. Okay, we are now into game. And, oh wow, Bear Jr. lands the Binding on Fleeing Panda. Paired that with the poke coming out from Miramar, so they do get a little bit of damage down. No further push, though, for any invader wards. Kind of surprised Valamundo isn't going for any warding in the jungle, considering they saw that everybody was down on the other side of the map. But
minions have spawned.
Bear Jr. going, oh, nice dodge there from Zurok. Dodges the Xerath Q as well. They're going to take the Blast Cone to hop out.
Zurok turning on the scripts for this game.
Just takes a couple of basic attacks from Morgana. That's all it's going to cost him. He doesn't have to back, obviously, for that. So. They did get the ward down, so obviously they do have confirmation that he's starting blue, but they would have guessed that anyway. Alright.
So you've got that
It's gonna
play-by-play?
Yeah, sorry. My computer is kind of freaking out a little bit. Okay.
All right.
Now, the one thing we have to wonder here is, does Hiromar get cocky, knowing that they won this matchup last game? Does he like fail to recognize that this is still an advantageous lane for the Ahri and give up some early plays like he did last game? And maybe this time C-Ban will be a little more patient with it.
Yeah. Little poke coming out there from Bear Jr. I definitely think, when you look at C-Ban, someone as individually talented as he is actually #1 in the league in damage per minute, as well as #1 in percent of gold for his team. So this team really needs him to shine for them to have a chance. And on this matchup, he should be able to feel confident to do that. So we'll see if anything's different based off of the results from game 1. The hook lands onto the Ashe, and they're going to trade a huge amount of damage from the Misfortune double up. She is going to flash away. No follow as the binding hit. It's a Bison to keep him from flashing after him, but that is the summoner advantage now in the bot lane for Gurg 5. We're going to see some trading in the top lane as well. Hillary Clinton gets a big chunk on the Volamundo. He's going to keep... Why did Volamundo keep chasing that down? I don't understand why he would follow that up. Hillary Clinton just smacks him down.
I gotta say, Hiromar has the most loyal fans in the LCS. They come out to every one of his games, and they just spam in the chat for him.
Oof. There's a flash and the heal. Flash for Bear Jr. Heal coming out for random guy The very, very good well-placed hook from Fling Panda going just around the minions and hit him, flays him under the turret. So that is now only this exhaust left up for the bot lane of Bear Jr. I really need to see Xin Zhao head down there now, knowing that they have no summoners left. He needs to take advantage of this and get some ganks going down.
Yeah, but he's pathing incredibly strange. He's decided to clear his entire topside jungle, even though he has the information that his bot lane.
They're going to fight in the jungle. He flashes away from the Flag and Drag combo. The Charm's going to hit. Big, huge burst of damage going down onto John Dice, and it is going to be the kill for Zurok. Thought that would be kind of going the other direction based on how that started, but he did flash away from the EQ combo. Now Volamundo is going to go ahead and engage. He hits the pillar down to knock him back, but he does not, I think, have the damage to keep this going. Oh, he was... Okay, yeah, he just kept that going because
the triumph coming in there for Dr. Volamundo. Pretty clutch timing there for sure.
C-Van is in trouble now as well. If he can dodge the binding.
Is Zurich not coming down to help?
And he flashed, and there they are, okay.
5 minutes into the game, and Bear Jr. is all the way up by top lane, forcing summoners out. This is the type of pressure that their support's applying on this team, guys. Every other support needs to take note.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to give up a little bit of bot lane, as now Bison and Fleeing Panda have free reign to just kind of force that random guy although Fleeing Panda not stepping in front of these minions to just kind of force random guy out of experience range a little bit. Maybe lack of knowing the situation, maybe lack of communication across the side for Gurk 5, because C-Van running upriver for a solid 15 seconds, and it took Volamundo and Zurok about 20 to even show up down there.
I think maybe some advanced tactics come into play here, though, because I believe that Bear Jr. only roamed once he and that random guy shoved that wave all the way into G5's towers. So even though random guy was alone, the push was just allowing him to get closer and closer to safety the entire time, which is actually pretty nice for them. As you see, he's still up in CS, even though he was alone in that lane. So definitely a nice job on Bear Jr.'s part for helping him shove that wave and then giving himself some freedom to help out the rest of the team.
Yeah, now we do see Starrock is down. Oh, hold on. In the top lane, we're going to have an engage. Hillary Clinton goes in on Volamundo. Trundle ult's going down, but it's not going to save him. Hillary Clinton got level 6 in the middle of that fight and able to use the Maiden to finish it off.
And this is something
now
about
that is 2 kills for Hillary Clinton in the top lane matchup. We see again York is the one who comes out to the early lead in both games.
Yeah, this is something about Hillary Clinton too. It's not just the split pushers; it's champions that can 1v1 well. And when he gets ahead, he's going to take a lead and he's going to strangle it. He is very, very notorious for that, taking champs like Urgot and getting 4 solo kills in a game.
Okay, just went over to see that as it ended.
There we go. It looks like Sivan got an opportunity to get a kill, but it turned out to be a bait on the side of Hiramar. He was setting up for his boy Jaundice to come in there, and it ended up being reverse 2-0 for the side of Bear Jr.
Yeah, once again, Sivan was poked out and used the ultimate to dash over the wall and come in, but then was just, I think, hit by the Zerd stun, and then they were just able to, since he was so low already, it was an easy finish on the kill.
Well, interestingly enough, Hiramar flashing to dodge a charm, flashes in a straight line and still gets hit by the charm. But Bear Jr.'s team rotating up is going to take the second tower of the game, as Hillary Clinton had taken that top lane tower low enough that minions finished it off for that first tower. And again, Panda and Bison, maybe the team's just not communicating, but they are not stepping up and putting pressure on that random guy when he's in a 1v2 lane. Bear Jr. still in the mid lane.
Yeah, random guy flash and heal just came up, I think, in the last 30 seconds. So they had time. They should have still known that they didn't have any of those summoner spells available. Sivan is gonna walk away. Bear Jr. and John Dice pushing up and forcing him away. Turret's already gone, so he can't just walk backwards to the turret for safety. So has to walk all the way back to his second turret, and we have a first pause.
Yeah, it's pretty good for us. Good luck there. We haven't had one so far. Game 1 was totally pause free, so.
What? Yeah. How is that possible? That's not the PMA LCS that I know.
I know. It was pretty crazy.
Actually,
well, I don't want to lose viewership here, but I do want to go ahead and plug the fact that we do have another game going on the twitch.tv/PMA SGN channel. Matchup between We Are a Rhino and the Hidden Valley Gaming teams. So if you guys want to have that up in another tab or whatever you want to do to get some more PMA LCS gaming action, go ahead over there and give them some shout outs, some support.
That is a hype matchup for sure.
Yeah, currently still in game 1 with Hidden Valley Gaming ahead by about 4K gold, so definitely worth checking out. But let's go ahead and talk about this game we've got going over here while we're in a pause. What does Gurk 5 need to start doing to get back a little bit of control? Because already they're kind of bleeding a little bit in areas that they shouldn't be. What do you think, Dylan? All right, forget what you think, Dylan. What do you think, Alex?
I mean, basically, scoreline-wise, what's making this gold lead is the 2 turrets. Yeah, they're ahead 2 kills as well. But we've seen, just like in game 1, whichever side has the Yorick is definitely out pressuring the top lane, although he is down by about 10 CS. But got the first kill, he's 2 kills up, and they got the first turret. So I don't know if there's really anything Valamundo can do to come back and combat Hillary Clinton on the Yorick. I don't know a whole lot about Trundle because I never really play him. But at this point, I feel like it's going to be hard for him to stop the Yorick. The rest of the team, the only thing I can really think of is if they are able to get down vision and not lose control of that like they did in game 1. And I think Sivan's just going to have to step up and get picks and get assassinations, because this team really needs him to be the carry, I think. And if he's not getting that done, then they're just going to... I just don't think they have any chance.
Yeah, really the Trundle was kind of a wishful pick, I'd say, on the side of G5. Trundle's ult, we do have the pause ending now. The game is going to resume. Yep. Trundle's ult is meant for countering tanks. But with tanks on the side of Bear Jr.'s team, and the only close thing being a Yorick that is going to build mostly damage for the foreseeable parts of the game. You're right, the Yorick does have a heavy advantage there. And I think it's going to remain that way unless something really, really crazy advantageous happens with Zorak coming in with those 2 kills he's already taken and making something happen. But even with the 2 kills, he hasn't completed the Warrior Enchant. We're here at 9 minutes. Neither jungler is really up on their jungle item. So we're going to have to see some increased pace on both of their parts to help carry their games.
Yeah. So we are going to see right now, Bear Jr. was taking vision control of the bottom side of the river, and they are now taking the first drake of the game. The Ocean Drake, that'll fall here in just a second. There's no contest coming from Dirk 5. We do see Sivan is going up to the top lane, as well as Xerox, so maybe they're going to dive on the Yorick. Sivan is backing, and so is Xerox 33, so maybe they're not feeling it. And they're going to be another pause.
Do we know what the reason was for the last pause?
Bison was lagging.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's what's happening right now as well, because we do see Bison kind of hanging out under the bot tower here.
Yeah.
So the kind of tale of this game, for me at least, has been that, again, I thought it would come down to the junglers, but really what's happening is it's greed. Time and time again, it seems like Gerg 5's team is trying to take the play that's right in front of them instead of acknowledging that maybe it's a bait. That is really, really risky in any kind of normal situation, if it were solo queue or anything like that, but definitely in a 5's environment where you know that these guys are all verbally communicating. I think it's just a little presumptuous of him, and especially considering Hiramar is one of the highest ranked mid laners that Sivan's going to have to go up against this split. I would like to see a little more respect going on there. Obviously Hiramar is putting up great KDAs. Bear Jr.'s team has been playing pretty well against all of their previous matchups, but really it comes down to the patience. I think that we need to see more patience out of Gerg 5's team. They've showcased in the past that they can play very strong games. They just need to stop going for the easy baits, stop going for the stuff that they know could be an issue. And if you're looking at the map right now, down in the bottom right corner, you can see through the vision that Bear Jr.'s team once again is just dominating this vision control. There is not a red ward to be found on the blue side of the map, whereas Bear Jr.'s team has vision of the Raptor camp. They know what's going on over by the blue buff. Their entire jungle near the dragon side is warded up, so they know what's going on there. Just time and time again, it becomes about information and knowledge, and Bear Jr.'s team is kind of dominating that game right now.
Yeah, sorry, I was typing. They have R coming in the chat, so it looks like it is probably going to get going here in a second. Maybe. No? There it is, okay. Unpause. As I was saying before, Xerox actually canceled his back, so he is still here. They might look for the dive. I don't know. At this point, Yorick's really strong. I don't know if I would do it, but he is baiting him in, and now Xerox goes in. Maiden comes out, a huge chunk onto Valamundo and Hillary Clinton as well, flashes away. Maiden is going to keep putting down damage on Trundle. Meanwhile, bot lane, Xerath ults, and they do take out It's a Bison under the turret. The other 4 of them grouped up, knowing that Xerath was in the top lane. They definitely had the advantage down there, and they are going to pressure down the turret.
Can we mention something right now, that it is 10 minutes into the game and that random guy has not recalled?
It's pretty standard for Gary. If you're farming with no action, you might as well stick around.
Yeah, but he's still only sitting at 70 CS at 10 minutes, so it's not like he's been keeping perfect CS and he's just been sticking around. He's got 3,200 gold in pocket right now, and he is just kind of chilling.
Yes, that is very, very good point. I had not noticed that. Anyway, so we did have the attempted bait gank in the top lane that did not work out for either side, and Bear Jr. just capitalized on the numbers advantage in the bot lane. Once again, They had no wards at all in the river, so there was no way for Gurg 5 to really know, I think, that they were all down there at that moment, and they just get... It's a pretty easy dive when you have Morgana binding an Ashe ult. Meanwhile, Volumundo is challenging Hillary Clinton in the top lane. He puts down the ultimate, he's chasing him down. Is he going to be able to kill him? John Dice is here, and Bear Jr. for backup, and that's going to be it. He was getting the 1v1, but yeah, you can see, again, top side of the river now, completely dominated with wards by Bear Jr., so there wasn't any way for him to know that that Hillary Clinton had backup coming up the lanes. So he goes for the bait easily, and they fall. They just mentioned earlier they had to get vision control down in order to get any type of pushback in this game, and they've just been completely dominated. I see maybe 4 red wards on the map, and there's at least 10 probably blue wards on the map. Meanwhile, they're going to keep the push going. They're 5-man strong in the top lane. C-Van and Bison are down bot.
It's very greedy by Bear Jr.
They are diving.
I think maybe they'd go for the Rift Herald off of this instead of trying to take this.
Volumundo's going to be able to walk out barely with his life. They did not get the turret. It is halfway dead. They are backing off now for the Rift Heralds. Yeah, I guess they could have backed off for the Rift Herald sooner. They're going to all take the Blast Cone over.
Yeah, 12 minutes.
Oh, Bear Jr. failed on the Blast Cone.
12 minutes in, that inhibitor tower is pretty strong at that point still. And trying to dive a Trundle, not always the greatest of ideas. He can easily turn dives with his ultimate when he does drop that subjugate on an enemy, gaining massive health back and health over time, as well as bonus resistances. Just not an easy champion to dive, especially that early into the game, that far into the base.
Yeah, even if Hillary Clinton is ahead, not tanky enough at all to just stand there and take turret shots for you to do that. So they did get half of the inhibitor turret down in 12 minutes, which is impressive, but probably not the most efficient thing they could have been doing. But nonetheless, nobody died for it. They did get a Rift Herald as they backed out. They gave it to Hillary Clinton last game. Gurg 5 gave it to... Actually, was it Gurg 5 who got it last game? I don't remember now. Whoever had it last game was the jungler. I remember that. This time it goes to the top laner. Why not? Hillary has all this split push pressure. I already have 2 turrets down in that lane, so I might as well just give it to him.
It was the side of Bear Jr. It was the Lee Sin that took the Rift Herald.
Okay, that's right. So we do see still the river is pretty... North side of the river is pretty controlled by Bear Jr. There are a lot of pings going down in the mid lane. Ashel comes down onto It's a Bison. John Dice jumps on him, causes the flash. Fleeing Panda also has to flash out of the Cataclysm. Bear Jr. flashes forward for the Soul Shackle, but it's not going to get him. And they are barely going to escape with their lives. There was 3 ultimates and at least 1 flash used to not get a kill is pretty big. But it does force them to back off and see if maybe they can get the turret off of the pressure in the game.
I am 100% positive, because I play Jarvan.
Bullet-Time's going to come out to clear the wave, and It's a Bison just gets smacked down by the John Dice. C-Van's going to go in, and Bear Jr. is going to use the stopwatch, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Hillary Clinton, we see the last hit come in there for the Rift Herald on the turret, and he's going to keep going. Rift Herald, Maiden, and Yorick, 3-man being here, the inhibitor, while mid lane is also under fire from the rest of the team. And actually just going to back off and go for the Drake that is spawning now.
Yeah, all I was going to say earlier was I was positive there when Jaundice was going after the Thresh that he could have swag flagged to get that kill. The flag is only on like a 6-second cooldown. He could have just continued walking up after him and gotten the kill.
What are you high on, dude? The flag has like a 15-second cooldown at rank 1.
What is he maxing right now?
It's at you always max Q first and then W. You always max the flag last, and it's got a really high cooldown.
Okay, well I max flag second because I like damage, and Okay, so that's what I do, and I definitely would have gone after that guy with the flag for sure.
One thing in that chase that I would have liked to have seen is once Jarvan's full combo was down and Morgana flashed forward to get the soul shackles on, as soon as Bison broke that, and then Jarvan threw his Q again, knowing that he couldn't do anything more to stop them, I would have liked to have seen Bison turn and just bullet time them right there to try to force them off Fleeing Panda and maybe snag a kill as Owlbear Jr. snipes the Gromp away from Zerok. But knowing that all interrupts are down and he can turn and freely throw that bullet time, Lolamundo was flanking and Zerok was on the side. They could have had an opportunity to engage that if the Jarvan and Morgana were a little bit lower health. So I just want to see a little bit more awareness from It's a Bison of knowing when he has the opportunity to get some free bullet times off on enemy teams and get some good damage back in return on a chase.
And look at the way version control is helping them here. The Raptor camp, the Gromp, both of them, Bear Jr. ready to steal.
Okay, we have a big engage in the mid lane. And Seavan's, oh my gosh, he was able to get out away from the
final snipe by Miramar there.
Meanwhile, Zerok is exhausted. Zerok's running for his life, and he's barely going to be able to get out. That was interesting positioning from Seavan there. I think they knew that there was a couple members of Bear Jr. up there in their top side of the jungle, but still he pushed up in a position where he could have easily been collapsed on, I should say. We're going to see the turret about to go down in the mid lane. John Dice is able to get out. Yes, he does. Thresh dies. Dr. Boomlin takes down Trundle on the top lane as well. Dr. Valamundo is going to go for that inhibitor. They're still fighting in the mid lane. Zerok gets hit by the binding and he just gets popped.
Positioning on Zerok there, I don't understand it.
Random guy flashes forward for the slow on the volley, and John Dice goes in, doesn't quite hit him with the knockup, but the burst from Xerath is enough. Ash actually gets the last hit on the kill.
Double inhibitors down at 18 minutes, man. Yeah. This has been such a clean game from Bear Jr.'s side.
Yeah, there is tons of CC from the Xerath stun, Ash ult, Morgana binding. They're just constantly getting people locked down with John Dice flying in with the flag and dragon. They're just not able to get out of these engages, and they just continuously run them down. Seavan, meanwhile, uses the ult to chase and goes into the middle of the team and does end up taking down the Morgana, but then they will get returned on by this Miramar will get the return kill. So I don't know if that's exactly worth it. I mean, I guess it doesn't really hurt if you get some shutdown gold, I guess. I don't know. Meanwhile, looks like Bear Jr. is finally going to reset, but very successful siege there. They did get both of the inhibitors down and several kills. They now have 8.3 thousand gold lead, not even at the 20-minute mark yet.
Yeah, really incredible control that they're displaying here on Bear Jr.'s side. And even though I don't think that Bear Jr. had to give up a kill there, it's better for the support to go down and then get a return kill on anybody other than their support, which they did. So definitely smart play. And now Bear Jr.'s team can comfortably set up vision around this Baron, which it looks like they're about to do, knowing that there's no scenario in which G5 can really counter them without giving up kills. The only thing that G5 could hope is that they're able to secure a Baron steal, but with Zerok tanking all of the super minions in mid right now, he's going to have to be recalling to get help when he should be positioning to get that steal. And look at this, 3 control wards down around Baron on Bear Jr.'s side in multiple spots. Just really insane. Almost every member of their team carrying control wards at all times. Just really clean play.
Yeah, very good understanding from Bear Jr. As far as really the importance of having wards and what that does. Bot lane, Hillary Clinton's going to back off.
Wow,
Bear Jr. flashes over the wall for the Soul Shackles. Fleet Panda barely flashes to get out of range for it, and the binding is still going to hit following up after that. And the Xerath stun is going to follow. Tons of bursts going down. Panda returns it with the hook, and ult comes out, can't dodge away from that, no flash, and he goes down. Meanwhile, another huge chunk coming down on the Bison. He barely jukes the last shot from Xerath's ult to survive. Bot lane, Hillary Clinton's going to knock down this turret. The rest of the team is just looking to end the game right now.
what Bear Jr. just did is he used a flash in a moment that most people wouldn't have
Goodbye,
because he knew that
window.
a death there meant the win. And that is what a truly strong leader would do.
They're able to get the kill off on Hiramar. This might be what they need to defend the Nexus. Bear Jr. goes into the Zanyas and will die. Oh, okay, had to flash on its Bison to get it. They do successfully defend the Nexus. Only Voctamundo going down, but there is going to be a third inhibitor going down, which means actually it might not.
It's a conservative play call there, but it's not going to matter in the end.
Yep.
That's a GG for Bear Jr. taking a 2-0 over Gurk 5. Really good game, well played by all those guys. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this MVP poll going, but what do you guys think here? Being such a short game, it's kind of difficult to determine who the true MVP is.
I mean, this one, in my mind, obviously has to go to Bear Jr. His roams up into the mid, up into the top, completely unpunished early on, netting his team some kills and getting an early gold lead. It's just that kind of support play is just going to pull your entire map ahead rather than just focusing on your bot lane.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree on that one. Once again, bindings were on point. Soul Shackles didn't quite hit a couple times, but still mechanically all there. And then, like you said, being able to roam around at times and not lose like any CS in the bot lane, really well done from both of them. And also, we know he's the primary voice on the team, right? So we're assuming, I guess, that most of the direction for where they need to be and setting up vision and all that probably comes from him. So that was one of the most one-sided games as far as warding and mission control I've ever seen. And props to everybody, obviously, for that. But Bear Jr. being the lead voice in that, I think definitely deserves the MVP.
Yeah, I think that Bear Jr. can be considered for this. I think that for the reasons that Dylan listed, I do agree, the roaming, unpunished, things like that. I just want to take this moment, though, to acknowledge, at what point do we have to kind of concede that maybe that random guy is actually this good? Because, there are some players that are system players that, like, they are bolstered by how good the team around them is. And Bear Jr.'s team is definitely good. But the patience that he plays with, I don't know if he's just a really good listener or if he just clearly understands what his objectives are at all times, or if he and Nick, Bear Jr., really just like practice together that heavily. But time and time again, he's giving up no more than one death per game. Once again, on this series, he has one death total.
Right.
That is the type of play, the type of consistency that almost no other player is exhibiting. And you have to think, at a certain point, we have to acknowledge that this is him. This is actually who he is as a player, and he really is this good. It's just pretty incredible across 4 weeks now, the level of patience and consistency that he's showing. It's just kind of elite. So that guy's definitely showing off pretty heavily. Hats off to him for being one of the lower ranked players on his squad and kind of just totally outplaying his rank designation.
Yeah, I can't really tell if he's playing very well or if he's just being a KDA player sometimes. Because, I mean, if you look back to last week's match, the second match of POO versus Big Anime Titties, him being on that Tristana, he really didn't make any impact in any of his sort of plays. Sure, he didn't die at all while the rest of his team was dying across the map, but he never really put out the damage his team needed to possibly turn things around at any point in any fight that was happening. So, I mean, I'll give him some great credit and props for keeping such a low death count and helping his team get those victories, but it's sometimes it's almost too much KDA playing and not enough being that 80 carry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I see that many players being KDA players in this split. There might be a degree of it. I mean, sometimes guys are going to read their own press. Sometimes people will hear, like, I've got the highest KDA, and maybe they don't want to tarnish that. But it's still, I don't know. It's something for me about a player. I believe he's silver. Am I correct?
I don't know. I don't really look.
I believe he's silver. If I'm wrong, somebody in the chat can help me out there. But for a silver player to be as patient as he is when his support leaves lane for extended periods of time, like Bear Jr. does, it's really, really difficult for me to think anything other than the fact that he actually knows how to play it. You know, like again, it's one of those things where I am willing to be proven wrong if he starts showing any kind of like contradictory results. But 4 weeks in, he's consistently being that same player. I'm willing to say right now that he is actually that good. Personally, I'm willing to make that call, and I'm willing to be proven wrong if it ends up being wrong. But as it is right now, I think that he is one of the most elite ADCs in this split. And he continues to show it through his KDAs. Although it does look as though Hiramar's hype train, the youngsters, have once again voted him into MVP status. So Hiramar is your Game 2 MVP. Bear Jr. a close second. If we could go ahead and get our boys into the interview screen or the interview chat in the Discord, let's get Bear Jr., Sivan, and Hiramar into the chat so that we can kind of discuss how that all went. And once we have them all there in the player of the game interviews, we will be good to go. You guys just hang on for that.
Hello?
Go to player of the game interviews, guys. Hang on.
Let me set up my push to talk. Here it is.
There it is.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey,
make sure you
guys.
got push to talk on, boys.
All right, guys, both to the captains, it's Bison and Bear Jr. Great games by both your squads. Obviously, Bear Jr., your squad pulling out a 2-0. Really clean first game and an almost immaculate second game.
Oh, why, thank you.
Hiramar actually managed to get both of the MVPs for each of those
Sorry.
games. Your homie's coming out pretty clutch for you there, buddy.
They
In the
always-
chat.
always do.
Good job here, Mar.
Yeah, your hype squad. But I guess I'll start this off by saying, or kind of asking a question to, Bear Jr.'s squad in general. Either of you could really answer this because you both kind of gave examples of how this works. How exactly do comms work in your team in those early game spots, especially when you have so much support roaming? What is the communication like? How often do you practice it? How do you coordinate so well in those early game situations where you guys don't necessarily have a ton of items and the fights are going to be longer and more drawn out?
Do you want to go for it, Bear?
You can start.
So like, I guess a lot of it is Bear. He's shot calling almost constantly. He's kind of like the eye of God, kind of watching over the map, which is why I think Will does like get these perfect KDAs, because Bear will he'll wander and he'll be watching every other part of the map except for bot. So a lot of it is just them kind of sitting there, or he'll wander and Will would just kind of like sit tower and get farm, freeze the lane, stuff like that, while Bear does like everything else. So a lot of it is if they get a kill, it's a lot of early lane kills, and then they just kind of like sit and wait. So I think that helps a lot. And Bear can tell you more because obviously it's his thought processes and stuff like that.
Basically, the early game went really well, really smoothly for me in both games. I was able to pressure their bot lane at level 1 both games, and especially with MF early the first game. So that opened up for the early roams because I had a level advantage in XP, so I could also just dip out of vision. They think I was just hiding in a bush to wait for a play, and meanwhile I'm just roaming mid. So I'm just telling Will to play safe during those moments. I try to never leave during a bad time. I don't leave lane if he's gonna get frozen against him, but I'll leave lane if they're pushing into us, kind of thing. So it's just about when you leave, when you roam, and then how to pinging your ADC or pinging your mid lane, like what you want to do all the time, and then everyone will stay safe usually, because Most of the time, I'm just trying to watch where the jungler is for the first 3 minutes, first 5 minutes actually. I'm just trying to watch the map, ping where the jungler is ganking, and then when he shows up on the map, I'll make a play on the other side. That's what I try to do.
Nice. Yeah, we did mention that in the second game specifically. You made a 5-minute roam toward top lane, and we saw that you guys had shoved lane really hard right before you left, so that no matter what, Will was going to be in a safe position as the lane kind of pushed further toward his tower, so that he wasn't ever going to be in danger there. So that was really nice and cleanly played. I'll turn it over to you, Bison, for a moment to kind of talk about how your team handled those early games, because there were a couple points, especially toward the pre-10-minute mark, each game where I would say that your team was actually ahead. Maybe not on bot lane necessarily, things were kind of in flux down there, but it's specifically the mid and jungle matchup. There were points where things were looking pretty good for you guys. So how did communication go for those 2 games for you? What was your game plan going into this really, and how did you kind of try to play it out as the game went on?
As we went into this game, we already knew it was going to be we kind of pointed out, here's what we think is going to be a problem. Here's what we think we can handle. We went going in knowing that we were going to have to play super passive bot lane, basically avoid getting hit by any kind of crowd control that Bear Jr. threw at us, even if it meant giving up farm, because we were hoping with that, with us being so pushed, and that it would give Labby, or in this case Jonas, room to gank, which gave us options to go ahead and try and get top ahead. That's why we took a Yorick, hoping we could get him ahead and him steamrolling. Same thing with mid lane. We decided, hey, let's take care of our off Anivia, obviously. We knew he has Viger in his pocket, but we were kind of expecting the Xerath. I think it might have taken Chris by a little bit of surprise, but we were just listening to what Brett was wanting to do along with Chris. We don't really have necessarily a one-shot caller, but we definitely kind of just listen to each other and hear what we're saying, and then decide what's best for that, and let Brett decide between mid and top at that point.
All right, definitely. What do you guys think? Dylan, Alex, you got any specific questions you were thinking of?
Yeah. So this is going to be, I guess maybe for either side, but in my head it's more for POO. You guys took Xerath both games, you took Morgana both games, and you took Nasus and Yorick, which are both, obviously really strong, just kind of AFK split push top laners. So with you guys taking compositions that are very similar both games, is this more of you're just kind of taking champions you're all comfortable with, or do you specifically formulate what do you want to do beforehand, or is it more just comfort picks?
This morning I spent some time jotting down a plan for team select, because last week I didn't come so prepared. So this time I had a plan for each. If they ban certain champions, I was gonna pick certain ones first. Basically, I wanted to get the Yorick or the MF first every time. If they picked one, I got the other. And then I knew they were gonna ban out Hiramar, so I didn't think they were gonna ban out Xerath, and that was true both times. So we just picked that up. Hiramar actually said he wanted to play that earlier in the day, so it worked out pretty well. And it plays well into the Ahri. It plays well into the Victor if you picked up Victor, or Malzahar if you picked up Malzahar. So it played well into all of Cvan's champions. So I really like that pick. And then the rest of the composition, I just tried to balance around that. We needed some more AOE, so I got the Misfortune, Yorick for lockup and the engage / pushing, Morgana for disengage and follow up engage, and then the Jarvan to round it all out kind of thing. And or the Lee Sin. I knew John Dice is fucking disgusting on Lee Sin, so I just let him play that comfortably. I was almost going to vouch for the Jarvan pick in the first game instead, but I think Lee Sin actually does well in Vi if it's played well, pressuring early. If you know how to counter gank and pressure early correctly, so or if it's just executed correctly by the whole team. So it just worked out really well in select. Because with the comfort champs of the enemy team, there wasn't a whole lot they could do to measure to compete with that.
Definitely, and I do agree with that. I do think that the Lee Sin beats the Vi early if the pressure is applied properly. I guess a kind of more general question, and I'll throw this over to Hiromar because I was wondering this a little bit. Knowing that you were leaving open an Ahri for Sivan and acknowledging that Xerath does not usually win the Ahri matchup, how did you go into that mentally? Like, what was the idea that you were going for? Were you just going to try to farm safely, or were you leaning on the support of your jungler, knowing that you were going to have some backup? How do you go into a matchup where you know that you are an immobile champion going into an extremely strong mobile assassin like that?
I just honestly, I just kind of try to play it safer. I looked a lot into, oh, do I have flash up? Do I have barrier up? I constantly had pinks on me to make sure, because Ahri doesn't have too much CC as long as you can dodge that charm. If you have flash or you have barrier, you're pretty much fine as long as you're not too far pushed up. And so I would always have a ward in, one of the side bushes. The Vi did manage to get me one of those times. She had used her Q over the wall there. But that was one of the few times that I had burned flash and barrier. But no, yeah, against Ahri, I like to just kind of farm until I get my ult, and then Bear can wander up. Because if Morgana lands a root, it's pretty much over for them. I just spam R on them, and it's 100 to 0.
Definitely. Yeah, well, you obviously play the matchup incredibly well. You play the map very well with Xerath. The ults were on point, almost always picking up a kill or a Baron steal in that one scenario. So very, very strong game, well played. Are there any other questions from you guys? Anybody that wants to ask anything?
Yeah, I have a question for Bison. I'm curious as to what kind of goes on in your comms throughout the game, because I just noticed it feels like your team has a lack of communication on things. Like Sivan was being chased upriver towards top lane for a solid 10 to 15 seconds, and the top and jungle were just not responding at all to it, not acknowledging that he needed help down that river. Like, are you guys calling these things out? Is there a lack of communication? What's going on with you guys there?
I wouldn't say it's a lack of communication. I'd say sometimes it's over communication. Just too many people talking at once. We kind of worked on that a little bit in our practices this week, because we know that sometimes it can get a little cluttered and we don't hear things. I think Sivan at that point, I don't remember him calling that out. So it might have been something that he just didn't, because he thought he was going to get away. But on that particular play, I don't remember hearing anything. But most of the time it's, hey, I need help, or some kind of acknowledgement. It's never a lack of they didn't say anything.
To that point, the last thing that I actually want to ask kind of goes toward Bear Jr.'s side in the way of communication. Being that you had a sub this week for Labyrinth in Jaundice being a strong player in his own right, what did you do to kind of help him prepare? We notice, obviously, you already said he's a strong Lee Sin player. It helps that that's one of Labyrinth's big players.
Well,
so.
You see, I kind of overslept and dropped the ball in that one. So we kind of rolled into this one, like just try to make John Dice feel comfortable. Like we're just joking around with him basically, not trying to make him feel anything really. Just like we just instantly, like he just meshed with our team pretty well, and then we just played. And yeah, I had a pretty good idea of him beforehand because I played with him last night or the night before or something.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, it definitely worked out that he played some similar champions to Labby already, and at a pretty high level as well. So, again, really good game to the side of Bear Jr. Good game to the side of G5 as well. Bear Jr.'s team closing out with 2-0 in this series, and I think that'll be about it for us. Don't forget that there is another PMA LCS game between HBG and War going on right now on the PMA SGN channel. I will link the link in the chat right now.
I've already linked that in the chat. So, guys, take a look at that one. We have a Ziggs bot lane and a Nunu jungle with no flash.
Oh, we didn't get
That sounds pretty crisp.
Nunu jungle with Ignite, Smite, and Spellbook rune
Yo,
to
Adam.
switch that summoner.
Adam,
What's up?
did you get the links I sent you in the Facebook chat?
I almost opened one, but it said .raffle, and then I decided not to download it because I don't know what you're trying to do to my computer.
It's the replays of both games.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I will definitely pull it up.
Raffle.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid.
Some sexy tapes I sent you.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Well, for this game and for this cast, I've been Theatrix. I'm joined by Packard Diehard, Garfield Juice, and General Dill, and these lovely gentlemen that just played the game. And I think that'll be it for us. So good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night. GG, everybody.